Go.
Alright, it's literally just 4 questions, so, what is your opinion on high school level writing, just in general? Do you think it prepares students, or is there a certain, like, criteria you have to follow that isn't necessarily lining up?
I think that the level of preparedness that students have coming out of high school relies almost entirely on the teacher that they have. I think that if you have strong teachers, then yes, the kids are prepared. But if you have teachers who don't put in the time to do the necessary grading, to give the feedback, and to make them write enough, then they aren't prepared. So I think that if they're doing their job, then yes, kids would be actually prepared, but I think a large number of teachers are not doing what they should do to increase, students' writing skills.
Okay, you still teach senior English, right?
I don't this year, but next year I will be again. So it's kind of this year they moved me down to sophomore English because they have the state test at the end of the year.
Oh, okay.
And they asked me to teach it. So.
Yeah, but you have in the past, because you
Oh yes,
I've
taught. Yes, of course.
All right. So, what would you say the main weaknesses are with their writing when they reach your class?
For honors levels kids, the biggest weakness that they have is just their basic sense of style and sentence structure, understanding just the basic grammatical rules of the English language that you would think they would know by now, and they don't. And so they, you have a lot of run-ons, a lot of fragments, and then a lot of very simple, not uncomplex or non-complex sentences. They write very simply, so they haven't really advanced to the level of having complexity within their prose and within what they are writing. So I think for academic level kids, it's still just the basic motivation to even put some thought into what it is that they're doing.
Yeah.
They don't understand how to analyze and put down their thoughts as far as organizing the essay from start to finish. They have a real hard time with organization of a basic essay.
Okay. Do you think that the SAT, like preparing for the writing portion on the SAT, do you think that that actually helps with students' writing or hinders them because of the time limit and stuff?
I think anytime you're writing, it helps. I mean, I don't care what type of writing you're doing. If you are writing something at a grade level that you are on, like that sort of standard, I think that it will help. I think that the time limit does hurt some people, but I also don't feel like the SAT is necessarily a measure how good of a writer someone is as much as it is how quickly can they do something.
Yeah.
So I think that preparing for the SAT is important because I think speed is important in some areas, but I don't think that it is necessarily the end-all, the be-all, end-all of what makes a good writer.
Yeah. I know you're not. How familiar are you with like AP courses and things?
Not too familiar. I mean, I've never gone through the training or anything of that nature to kind of help, and so I don't know too much about that. I mean, I might be able to field some of the questions that you have.
Okay. Because I remember I took AP World History and AP Bio in high school, and for a lot of the essays,
very different.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, I mean, do you feel? I mean, I suppose in the long run, it wouldn't really help out with the students' writing because really all they would have to do was put what's required on the rubric. Right?
Well, right. Well, the thing is, one thing that students always struggle with, and I have to try to explain to them, is that there are so many different types of writing that you have to be able to do. There's different styles of writing. What I do in English is what we do in English, and it's not that it's better or worse necessarily than what the AP classes tell you to do. When you're in the science field, they're going to expect different things out of you than you're in the English field. It's just the way that it is. So I don't like saying it's worse or better, although I am partial to the style that English does do. But I think that because students struggle understanding that, it does hinder them sometimes because they aren't able to differentiate between the different types of writing that they have to do. Can we pause this for 1 second?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry.